Right, hello. So this is the start now of the A2 economics content. So obviously things are a little bit strange this year. I would normally be with you talking to you about this topic. So hopefully this is almost quite, not quite, but almost as good as me being there. So what we're going to talk about in this session is revenue. And by revenue, as economists, we mean money the firm is receiving from selling its products. Okay, so our objectives at the end of this session are to have covered these things. Average marginal total revenue, you'll understand what they look like on a graph, and you will actually have drawn the graph. And later on we'll think about how a firm might use these pieces of information to make decisions. And in terms of grades, the differentiation is an absolute bare minimum that you're all able to draw the three revenue curves: average, marginal, total. Hopefully everybody will be able to understand where that information has come from. And at a very early stage now, we haven't done anything about cost or profit yet, you'll be able to start thinking, well, if the revenue curve is there, then what's that going to mean for the profit? Is the firm making a profit or a loss? But we'll get to that in a lot more detail. So, fundamental basic things. This symbol is what? It is the Greek letter pi. Okay, so Greek letter pi. You might use it in physics perhaps, or obviously it's a pi for 3.14 in maths. And in economics we use pi as shorthand for profit, and profit is the total amount of money we have coming in, so that's total revenue, minus the total amount of money we have going out, so total cost. Okay, that equation gives us the profit the firm's making. Next, total revenue. Really important, remember, firms may have revenue from other sources, but we're just talking about sales here. So it's the amount of money the firm gets from sales of its product, and the formula is simply total revenue equals the price that each product's being sold for multiplied by however many we are selling. Really simple. A shorthand, you can guess what the shorthand is. TR, okay, TR for total revenue. And the third thing we're going to look at, average revenue. Now, average revenue is the amount of money we sell per product. The amount of money we receive, per product. The amount of money we earn per product we sell. And it's this formula. Average revenue equals total revenue divided by quantity. So as a little example, if the firm is making £5,000 in revenue, and it has sold 1,000 units, then on average each unit must be selling for £5. However, I know that even though we've been away from college for a few weeks, you're still super alert. You would have noticed that actually that £5 is simply the same as price, isn't it? And that's important because this average revenue concept, although we've never called it this before, actually it's the same as demand. Okay, because what we're saying is that at £5 the demand is 1,000 units, so 1,000 units times by £5 gives us our total revenue. Okay, so although it's a new name, it's not a new concept. And the final one we're going to look at is marginal revenue. Now this is new. Marginal is a really key term for us as economists. That term marginal, it means the change in total from one more. So when we're talking about revenue, we're talking about the change in total revenue from selling one more unit. And again, a little bit of an equation. We'd never really use this at A level, but that Greek symbol there, again from science, you might well recognize it as the Greek letter delta. It means the change in. So it's the change in total revenue divided by the change in quantity. But by default, we would say that this is set to 1. So the change in quantity is 1. So what's the total revenue change from selling one more? Okay. And as shorthand, we have that as MR. Alright, so we've introduced our key things. Now we're going to use those as building blocks to move on over the next few lessons to this thing called competition, competitive markets. And we will learn about 4 models And by model, I mean these are theories. And as economists, what we do is we learn about theories and then we go out and test what we can see in the real world and use our theories as sort of checkpoints, and how close is what we can see in the real world to what our theory is telling us. Okay, it's very rare we'll find things that are bang on one of our checkpoints, but we'll say, well, that's pretty close to that, or it's not quite the same because. So it's a rather snazzy little slide. I like it. I hope you turn your head around to see. We have got 4 different models. Okay, we have perfect competition at the far left. You can see where I'm colouring in. That's the most competitive market structure that we can have, where firms are competing for customers. Next up is monopolistic competition. Now, it's a little bit confusing because monopolistic sounds a lot like monopoly, but it's different. So monopolistic competition is pretty competitive. It's not as competitive as perfect competition, but it's still pretty competitive. That's why they're at the left hand of my scale. Then if we move towards the right hand side, we have this crazy word here, oligopoly. Now an oligopoly is a market structure where there's only a small number of firms, and really they tend to be not that competitive at all. The firms don't tend to compete. They certainly don't compete by making products as cheap as they could possibly be. And at the far right, our extreme market structure is a monopoly. An important thing in economics is, for a monopoly, there is only one firm. If you study business, you will have learned about monopoly power. We have that in economics as well. But where there's a monopoly market structure, there is only one firm. And actually, they're pretty rare. And you might well be able to guess why. Okay, so for a little bit of light relief, I'm going to set you this mini task. Okay. The coronavirus lockdown has led to me perhaps re-evaluating my future life options in the next 10 or 20 years, and I've come up with this as an idea. Okay, so I'm considering a world tour. Okay, and as part of this world tour, I'll be selling MP3 downloads and CDs of my greatest hits compilation. Okay, now I know it's a really competitive market. I know you've got famous people like that, Billie Eilish and all these Taylor Swift and famous people. So I need a bit of a marketing niche. So this is my niche. Okay, I'm going to play on the ukulele 10 of the world's greatest football songs. Now there are 2 niche things there. I reckon that nobody else has done anything like this. So I think I'm onto a winner. Okay, so this is the scenario. Okay, that's me on my holidays, in my dreams. Now normally you can say I would ask people to put their hands up, but I can't imagine you doing this. I know you're all clamouring to pay £10 for one of my ukuleles. What we'll do is we do a survey and say, okay, if the price is each of these levels, how many people would want to buy one? We'd fill that in on the whiteboard, and I'd ask students then to work out the total revenue. So that will be the price multiplied by however many we're selling, how many customers we've got. That will be the total revenue. The average revenue here, average revenue is the total divided by the quantity. So the number of customers is really the quantity, isn't it? The tricky one we haven't covered before is the marginal revenue. Okay, the marginal revenue. So that's the change in total. This is the change in total. And we'd always write that on the line. So if we were lowering the price from £10 to £9, the change in total here will go where that X is. If we lowered the price from £9 to £8, the change in total revenue will be here. Okay. So, because we can't do the survey, I have guessed what the responses would be. And I guess they look something like this. Okay, so I've got the price down the first column. I've got the quantity, or the number of customers, here. Okay, and what I want you to do is to copy this out into your notes and fill in these 3 columns. Okay, Only when you've filled in those 3 columns can you move on and look at the next chunk of stuff. So once you've filled in those 3 columns, I want you to do it on paper. Use your mobile phone. There's an app called Office Lens. It's totally free. You sign in with your college ID. It lets you use Microsoft Office 365. It's all free. Take a scan of it. It turns it into a PDF, and then you can upload the PDF on Google Classroom. Okay, that way I'll be able to see that you've completed this and that you know what we're doing. Okay, so thanks very much, everybody. And I'll talk to you again soon.